Hey guys, I've actually created a lot of these videos. This is like my third or fourth one, but every time I created a how to make a book cover video, I actually learned more and more by the time I actually got around to trying to get it uploaded, so I decided to redo it, and that keeps happening to me. But basically, I really want to teach authors how to make their own book covers because book covers can be super expensive. You're looking at $100 for an ebook cover and $150 for the print version, and those are some of the cheaper end covers. They're very high quality and they're absolutely gorgeous. But a lot of authors like me, if you're an actual author with like nothing else, if you're self-published, you probably don't have a lot of money to spend on cover making and stuff. So it would be really good for you guys to learn how to make your own covers, or if you're interested in making covers for other authors, that's another thing, because that's another way to make money, really good money. So the reason why I started making covers was because I want to provide really high quality covers for authors, but for really cheap prices. I only sell mine for $30 for the ebook versions and $50 for the print version, which is massively cheap when you're looking at an average of 100 to 150. So basically the gist of this is, first and foremost, you have to have copyright-free stuff, copyright-free images and copyright-free fonts. So to find the copyright-free images, you can go to sites like pixabay.com. I'll type them down on the screen so you guys can see it, but pixabay.com is the one that I use, where you can download. It's basically where a bunch of photographers post pictures on their site for free, and you can use them. And they, on Pixabay, it actually says that they are licensed and commercial free, which means that you can use the image for commercial purposes, aka to earn you money. So Unsplash has the same thing. Unsplash, it's the one at the top. Unsplash.com, same thing, photographers. Those necessarily don't, they're still licensed and commercial free, but they do not really require that you kind of dedicate it to the photographer. But it's nice, they say that it's nice if you credit the photographer, which is great, and they deserve credit for their work, but that's a little hard to do when you're making a cover, especially if they don't know that you've used a cover and stuff, so it gets complicated. Now, professional photographers use this thing called Shutterstock. Now that is copyright-free images, but it is so expensive. You have to pay a lot of money just to buy one image, and if you don't have a lot of money, you would you could buy a book cover for almost cheaper than you could for these images. So if you're an author trying to find a way to do it for cheap, that's not the way to do it. But you will get a lot of people, and I think that's why I've had trouble selling my covers, because if you don't use sites like Shutterstock, if you use Pixabay and stuff, they don't like people using that because it looks very cheap. It doesn't really look unprofessional, because I've created some really professional looking covers before, but a lot of people use the Pixabay images. And so the bad thing about that is that you could end up getting to where the picture images are replicated, and where other authors use them, and it's used as other covers and stuff like that, and you really don't want to have your cover replicated, so it's a little harder to find more unique images. And Shutterstock also has a more wide variety of images. But let's get started making a cover. So basically, if you're an author doing this, you're going to have an idea of what your book is, obviously. If it's a mystery thriller, or if it's a fantasy with dragons or phoenixes or magic, or if it's a modern contemporary drama, romance, whatever the case is, you know what you want. You typically will have an idea of what the cover is supposed to be. If you're making this for other people, then it would be random. Just pick a genre. Now, every genre has the kind of type of cover that they are. I haven't quite learned the ins and outs of all that yet, but I'm kind of getting used to, okay, if it's a romance novel, you're going to have a couple on the cover, and the colors are going to be like a little bit different than if you had like a fantasy where there's a lot of like blues and dark, dark colors and stuff like that, versus like a paranormal romance, which would have dark reds, really dark purples, stuff like that. And stuff like that. So basically just kind of get the image in your head. So for the sake of the image here, I think I'm going to try to make a cover, a sci-fi cover that's kind of tough, the type of cover I haven't made. And sci-fi and fantasy are the harder covers to make because, like I said, these sites are just photographers. You're not going to find somebody taking a picture of a spaceship somewhere on this thing. Neither are you going to find a lot of pictures of dragons, although there are people who have created digital ones and stuff like that that you can mess around with. So I'm just going to type in spaceship and see what happens. I don't think I'm going to come up with anything. Surprisingly, there actually are. So, I don't really know what kind of... Okay, I actually really like some of these images. Holy crap. I like this one here with the world through the window. I really like this green one. That really seems science fiction alien-ish. So basically you click on the image, you go to free download, and you download it. You have to, click the I'm not a robot thing, and then you have to do this stupid thing. So you have to pick out all the images that they want you to pick out. And I believe that's it. So verify. Sorry about that. Okay, now going back, since it's downloading, I'm actually going to get some of these. These are really good looking covers. I liked this one. I was thinking maybe that could be some kind of book, like cloning facility type thing. So I wanted to get this one, and then there was one more further down I wanted. But this will just kind of give you an example of the different types of covers that you can find on the site. And like I said, I picked a genre that's very hard to find covers for this site, or at least it used to be. But a lot of people, I guess, created these digital images kind of thing. This one. Actually, scratch that. There's two more that I want. I've spent hours and hours browsing this site, and you will, especially if you're the author. Like if you're a cover creator, you can just find random stuff. Oh, hey, this looks good. And you pick out the image that looks good, and you just make a really good cover out of it. But if you're the author, you have, at least for me, I had these images in my head, and I really knew what I wanted the cover to be. So I've spent hours and hours just browsing this site, looking for the best possible image I could find. And, it does take some time. I'm going really quick here because, like I said, I'm not making a cover I actually personally needed for a book. I don't write sci-fi. So, but as a cover maker, I just want to make the best image possible for whatever potential books people have, and also picking out images that you think that other authors might need, Now, the second step is to use apps to edit your image. If you use Pixabay, since it is a free site, as I mentioned earlier, the pictures can be used by anybody. When you buy images off Shutterstock, that image becomes yours and yours alone. So there's really no fear of replication, which is why people prefer that you use those. But with this, anybody can use it, so there might be another cover just like it. So what you need to do is edit the image and make it your own, whether you're making covers for especially if you're making covers for other people. But, the important thing for you as an author is to make a cover that you're happy with and a cover that's really eye-appealing to your readers. So the apps that I use for this are LightX down there in the right-hand corner and PixArt. Both are good. Now, PixArt, you can get on there and select new image, and you go down to free images, and it connects directly to Unsplash. Unsplash doesn't have as good a variety as Pixabay. Like Unsplash would not have had any of those digitally edited images like Pixabay just did with all the sci-fi stuff. Anymore, I'm using LightX. There's really no other reason. It has all the same features as PixArt. I'm kind of a hoarder and can't resist. So I think I'm going to pick this one because that was the first one that really caught my eye. So I need to make this image my own. So the first thing that you want to do is just start messing around it. You can use filter, artistic. I usually use filters first because it changes things up. Pluto, see, that makes it blue. Now just changing the cover isn't going to be enough. So we need something to really make it stand out. So I'm going to go down to effects. You can use color blend, which completely changes the color. Like I can make it red or whatever. I kind of like the blue. Now this is effects. Now usually with fantasy covers, I'll use some sort of fire or light flare because it looks natural. But this is one way I feel that it really makes it my image. That's a little too bright. So let's go to multiply, hard light. I don't think I like that. Soft light, that's not enough. That kind of looks interesting. Okay, I don't like that. So let's do filter and see if they've got, okay, there's grunge. That kind of looks cool. Honestly, I kind of like the blue. That way it changes it up from the original image, which was green. Okay, I really like this style. So with this one, you can click on it and change the style, which actually changes the color of it. And to this one, this looks kind of more like a natural sky. So I kind of like right there in between blue and purple. But you could also go like to vintage and different ones. I don't want to lose what I did, so I'll show you those effects here in just a second. So we go to filter, and okay, we did grunge. We don't need another grunge on there. Vintage makes it look kind of older. Retro actually makes it glow. So that one. Now see, if this came from another direction, that would be perfect. Let me see what you can change with this. Wash. Okay. Leak. Strength. We want it right in the middle. Scratch. Okay, you can't change the direction on it. You can also do glow, hot, cold, drama. That doesn't look like a really good cover. And then black and white, which ruins the whole color image. So this is still a little different, but it's still the same image that the author used. So usually you could go to blend. This is what I love doing. And you pick another image. Let's go with this one. And you try to blend it as best as possible. Now this already has a spaceship on there. I usually use screen. It's not as bright. Okay, hold up for just a second. Okay, let me just try this and see. I've got an idea. All right, so next what you want to do is you have to get it sized right. If you're using an ebook, that's pretty simple. If you're using a print book, it's a little more complicated. Now, this is just a template. You can download templates off Amazon. You can Google it. I go to Blend, Album. This isn't exactly an ebook template, but this is the template for a 6x9 typical print book. So it gives you that same feeling. So basically it puts the size of the book there. So I usually follow the lines. So it looks like on the bottom, it looks like it cuts off the very tip of the side image, which is what I want. Now, obviously, if I was making a paperback cover for a 6x9, I would have to adjust this for the author's, like how many pages you have. If you're using like a 5x8 or whatever, an 8x11, that sort of thing, you'd have to change up the size. But for a 6x9 with so many different pages, you'd have to change the page length and stuff to figure all of this out. But for a print book, this is actually pretty good. So I'm actually going to turn it into a print book. I use this as a basic template example. And then if a client contacts me about it, I can change up the size of it and everything else, or get it formatted for just an ebook and stuff like that. So I actually want to try to cop it. So I'm going to cut off the edge of that. So you exit out because you don't actually want that blended in there. So you go to transform. Now this is where you can like flip it, where it looks like that. I'm going to exit out of that. You can crop it. And basically I crop it and cut off the end of it. Now that the quality goes downhill when you actually zoom in on some pictures like this. I don't like the way that looks, and that does not look like a good cover image. So we're going to undo that. So let's try transforming it the other way. Now, I didn't really pay much attention to this, but again, this is just kind of an example. Let's see how the quality works for this. Now, this isn't too bad. It looks more painted, and there are a lot of covers that are painted per se. So once you have that, you can save it. Yes. Remind me later. Okay, so it should be, I'm going to make sure it's saved. All right, so it's saved. Now, for the font. First of all, you're going to have to download fonts that you want from a site called Font Squirrel. It's like Pixabay, but it's for fonts. They have a bunch of fonts that you can get for free that are license free. Each font on that site has individual things that you can do. Some of them you can use for like social media, but you can't use for a print book. So you really want to, I had to read every single license agreement for each font and make sure they were also allowed for like book covers and print covers and ebook covers and stuff like that. Once you have that, you can use this app called Fonto or Add Text. Now, they each have their own benefits. Fonto is a good app because when you click on the image, load new image from device, it will pop up recent and you click on the image. Now you can go to this edit, add text, title, basically. And you click the font, and this is where you can download the new fonts that you have on your phone. Now, when you download the fonts, it'll be in a certain folder from Font Squirrel, so you have to go in there and then open up the file and then move the file from that folder to Fonto or to add text. It really just depends. But since this is a sci-fi, let's do something like this. Just, that's stupid. Sci-fi font type thing. Up here. This really isn't really good. I like that. Okay, title. So the difference here is that when you go to style, the image on add text, you just go here. How do I? You create color pattern. Now this is called a gradient. On add text, you can only do a gradient of 3 colors. On this one, you can do multiple ones. So since there's a lot of blues, let's go through and try kind of a bluish, a dark blue gradient. Actually, light blue would show up better. And then you click done, and then you have to pick the direction. Oh, whoops, scratch that. I haven't used this one in a long time. Click the arrow, and then you go gradient either over or either down. And I like the down, so you click done, and then here you click shadow. Shadow helps it show up more, so you can click like a black shadow, a white shadow. Now, for some reason, this one only has like certain kind, like the shadow has to be the same color. That's why I don't like it, but that's Fonto. Like I said, it creates a 3-way gradient, whereas on add text it's only 2. I'll show you what I mean here in just a minute. So you click here, you go to the plus text and title. Here you go to custom font, and all the fonts that you've downloaded will show up there. Just as an example, let's do that because it kind of seems like alienish. And now you're gonna go, you can stroke, you can highlight, you can make it 3D. Like I said, I go to gradient, it's the same thing. You choose a color from the box. We're gonna go kind of a light blue and then kind of a dark blue. So let's go down. And then you can choose over, you can choose downward, you can choose whatever. I kind of like this one better. And then go to shadow, black shadow, or, oops. Okay. Or a white shadow, kind of like that. So let's go back to format. And I kind of want it to be on that side. And then you copy it, and then you author name. Now with the author name, you want it to be a basic font because the title is, oops, I didn't mean to undo that. You really want the title to stand out. So with this, you want to pick a basic font. So let's do like that, basically. Not the best, and honestly white would probably look better, but you get the idea. Let me change the gradient on this and actually do white. It's a little too light in my opinion. Let's try a darker blue. And let's do the same with that one. So gradient, darker blue and white. Like that. but now the shadow looks terrible. So you can change the shadow where it's more like that, or it's more like that, more like that, you know, that kind of thing. I don't like the shadow on this one, so you can change it, you can make it different, that sort of thing. So that's the gist of how to make a cover. If this is your cover, obviously you could use it, and then you'd have to try to size it on Amazon Create Space or whatever you're doing. If you are making covers for other people, this is where I would go through add watermark, and you just follow the app. You create your own little logo. For me, I did JW Graphics. See, as you can see there, and you basically go to the beginning of the app. Go back. It won't go back. Okay, it's got to load. All right. So here you basically go to where your image last saved. You add text and you add your logo that you created. I just did something simple because you go to title and it adds the watermark in there so that nobody can steal your image. And this is only if you're creating it like as a cover creator rather than like an author and stuff. So you select it, it's saved in there, and basically you have your cover. So I hope this teaches you how to make a cover, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video.